one question that we always get asked is how can we look to save on maintenance? Obviously, as we look towards uncertain economic uncertain times, what the first thing that we know about organisation, the pressure that they face, is how to reduce that operational expenditure. One of the things that we know is one of the most expensive parts within the business is the operational budget, keeping the lights on, essentially. So as we move forward with a bit of uncertainty. Perhaps you're seeing more demands to reduce that operational expenditure than ever before, or it's just part of your daily ongoing conversations on how you reduce that maintenance. The first thing that we have to do is really outline to organisations why you're in some of the traps that you are in. And what I mean by that is when we look at the OEM framework on maintenance, what we know is the cost to support it typically always increase over time. As you get towards this point in time which is end of life, we also have this kind of end of sale product here. So we typically see something like that happen as the devices start to get older. So, for example, products like 3850s right now, you may well start to see things like 9300s, 4507s, any of these slightly older products. You'll start to see those creep up in costs. And of course, if I was an OEM salesperson, what I'd say to you is if you buy that new product, i.e. move to the next generation of product, then you get to save that on that maintenance. So what's a different way of potentially looking at it? The first thing that you can do is look outside of the channel. So organizations like Recirc i2, who can work with different providers where none of this vernacular essentially exists and none of these creeping prices keep driving up. There is no reason really why devices should cost more to support as they get older. They should always really look to be decreasing in costs because the amount of software updates, patch updates, product updates that are released shouldn't really drive the cost of that product up. So the first thing is look outside of the channel. The second part is look to see where you might have a critical mass of one particular product. So, for example, I talk to a lot of hospitals who all have different hospital sites, and they might use the same particular product in all of those different sites. There was one case of one of the large gaming operators that use exactly the same switch in all three of those particular hotels. So if you have got critical mass there, then there might be the opportunity there to sell spare. Obviously, what typically puts people off this conversation is if you have to buy a brand new one that carries a $10,000 list price, cost price, that might make it cost prohibitive. Look outside of the channel, look for refurbished options here to spare those products to drive some of the costs down. If you've got 20, 30 of one particular product all in one particular place, you don't essentially need somebody else to carry that spare for you, that you can go out and do that yourself. Also look for layer 2 products. If you have layer 2 products that all sit within the same vicinity, that's again a prime candidate to save on maintenance. Why is that? Because all layer 2 iOS updates are free of charge. So you don't need to have an OEM-backed contract in order to get access to those iOS updates. If you have the same products, you have a lot of them in a layer 2, then you should probably that's another way that you can really look to make some savings. You also want to look at all devices which have gone past this end of software support. One of the main, obviously, reasons for buying some of the OEM backed support is that you have that iOS support there for you. If you've gone, and that tends to be a point in time around about here, if you've got products which have gone past that, you're paying for something essentially which you no longer have access to. So if you are paying for those, if you do have those devices, that's again another target point, because they will all be going up in costs as they creep towards that end of life date. So I hope I've shared some ideas with you there of some different ways that you can save on it. We obviously have our own our own maintenance program, which is priced very differently compared to some of the OEMs. That's across servers, storage and network. So if you do find yourself each and every year just looking at the same cost across multiple providers, then we'd love an opportunity to have a conversation with you and hopefully look to put some of these savings in place without having to buy, move on to the next generation of products.